So good morning, and you're welcome to this morning class on mobile development. And I believe that it's very important for you to understand what this course is all about, so that you can get the full grasp of the course. So I'm going to be starting from the genesis of the course. So my next slide says that what is mobile development? I know if it this has been a physical class, I would have asked some students to stand up and tell me what mobile development mean. But understand that this is a virtual class. So what's mobile development? We have three explanations here, which is mobile development is the process of making software for smartphones and digital assistants, most commonly for Android and iOS. So two things I want you to understand in this part of this slide is that we have something called operating system, and if you are not a beginner, or at least you understand the basics, which I will assume is that there is operating system. And what's operating system? Operating system is the guy that connects the software and hardware of a device together. So let's say that, for example, for your laptop or your computer, most times you have either Windows or Mac OS operating system based for uh, Apple devices. And for we also have another one called Linux. We have Ubuntu and so many others. Those are the example of operating system. So operating system we have the it's a software that connects, or it's a thing that connects both the software and hardware of a device together. Now I'll give you some example of operating system in computers. Your laptop, like your computer, like your desktop computer. But in mobile phones, we have two common or basic operating systems that we have. And the first one is the Android operating system, right? Android operating system, and the second one is the iOS operating system. For the iOS operating system, we are aware that one of the device that make use of the operating system is the Apple devices. Whereas the Android devices, you can see so many brand making use of that operating system, like Tecno, like Infinix, like even Google Pixel. It's making use of the Android operating system. They have devices like Journey, like Wow, so many devices like that. So those are the example of what operating system in mobile app devices. So here the first explanation help us to understand that mobile development is the process of developing mobile apps for the Android or iOS operating system. I set the foundation of what operating system is all about. As I said earlier, operating system is a what? Is a software that help connect the software and the hardware of a device. Do you get? Without an operating system in your phone, it will just be blank. I don't know if you have seen or touch a phone in which does not have an operating system in its system. When it boots, it's just blank. So the next thing is the software can be pre-installed on devices downloaded from a mobile app store. So we can say that okay, most of the apps that are gotten into our mobile phones can be downloaded from mobile app store. An example of mobile app store is the Google App Store or the Apple App Store, where you get and download your softwares. So that's what the second explanation of is all about. So the third one says the programming and markup language used for this kind of software development include Java, Swift, C Sharp, React Native, and so many other things like that. So yeah, it's just helping us to understand that these are the languages used in developing softwares like this. So the next thing is mobile app development. We have three categories of mobile app development which I want you to be aware of. The first one is the native apps, the second one is the cross-platform application, and the third one is progressive web app, which is PWA. So what does this even means or does? So the first one, let me give a scenario. Let's say you have a client or someone walk up to you that they want to develop a mobile app that will be installed on probably the Android operating system, is the Google Play Store, or let's say the Apple Store. So let's say they they want to build an application, let's say fashion application, right? Now, as you, which is a developer, and your client, one of the things you need to first set is these basics. So let's say you are working up to me that you want to develop an application. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that guy, you have three categories of application. The first one is native apps. So what's native app? Native app means that I'll be setting two teams for the development of your application. So those two teams will be based on the number of operating systems that we have. But as I've set the basis already, in mobile apps, you basically have two operating systems that are popular. So I'm going to be getting two teams. The first one is the Android team, and the second one is the iOS team. Do you get? So the second one, which is the cross-platform application. So when it comes to cross-platform, if I'm developing that app in form of cross-platform, then it's going to be one thing. So what does cross-platform? It means that an application which we can develop using one particular programming language, and it's going to be working for multiple operating systems. So that's probably that's cross-platform application. So and PWO, you can check that through the website. It's just there are some applications in which they are in form of websites. That's progressive web app. So now the native apps. So what are the programming language that will make use of in developing the native apps? So the first one is the iOS, and the second one is the Android development. So the second slide says what are the programming language that we use in developing all these types of app. So as you can see on the screen, we have what the iOS platform and the Android platform. So for the iOS platform, popularly we make use of Objective-C or Swift. I don't know if you have heard that before. And for the Android, we make use of Java and Kotlin. Please don't forget natives app are the app that we use in programming a particular set of programming language to develop just for one operating system. So if I'm developing the application to be in Android or iOS, so for the Android, I'm making use of what? Java or Kotlin for natives app. So the cross-platform application, so popularly we make use of the JavaScript, the Dart and the C Sharp, but basically we don't make use of this, rather we make use of their framework. So this is what we make use of, either the React Native or the Ionic or Titanium, which is a framework of JavaScript. So what's a framework? So basically, a framework is just like, let me give an example. For example, I don't know if you have heard it before, but JavaScript programming language, it's mostly used for developing websites. If you want to learn website development, the first thing you start with is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You cannot go to probably Tailwind or Behance, something like that, right? But basically, JavaScript is used for developing websites. But there is a way in which they have programmed it, or they have more like split out what they have more like extract out of it a part of it that can be used for developing a mobile apps. So we can make use of JavaScript. You can make use in developing mobile apps. Some people make use of it in IoT. So it's not as if they are making use of JavaScript fully. It's just that they are making use of a part from it. So that part from it dedicated into building a particular software or system can be called a framework. So the next thing is under JavaScript we have what the React Native, Ionic, and Titanium. So that is a programming language. It's not the one that we use in building the application, but Flutter is like extracted from it for building the application. I don't know if you get. And the third one, we have C Sharp. So C Sharp is owned by Microsoft, and C Sharp mostly is used for writing banked application backend. If you want to go into writing backend applications, which is for bank, then C Sharp is one of the guys that you make use of. but inside of it there's a framework for building mobile apps, which is Xamarin. So now for this class, we are going to be focusing on React Native. So what's React Native? So React Native is learn once, write anywhere. As we have said earlier, React Native is what is a cross-platform in which can be used for developing both the Android and iOS apps. So yeah, and it says that React Native is an open source platform created in JavaScript by Facebook. So the first explanation help us to understand that first React Native is open source. So if you are a new CS student, what's the meaning of open source? Open source is simple. Open source just means that a software or a code or a system in which anybody can go to add or remove from it. Let me give an example of open source. Let me get out this slide. Let me give an example. So here, let me open GitHub. I don't know if you know GitHub. GitHub is a platform in which we push and deploy, we push and keep our code as developers. So what is open source? So this GitHub. GitHub is a platform where we push and host or store our code as a developer. So here, searching. Let me search for Telegram. I don't even make use of Telegram, but Telegram is a chat application just like WhatsApp. So if you click on this one, you can see they say that Telegram for Android source. So when I open it, you can see I literally have access to the code that they used in building Telegram. That's what it means. I literally have access to it. Though there are things I can't do on it, but I have access, I can see it. And sometimes you can just go into their code base and probably as a developer you notice an error and you're able to solve or you can give a recommendation on how the error can be solved, right? There I mean, you can just come here and submit a pull request that okay, I found an error in the code. Okay, this is how it's going to be solved, right? When you submit a pull request, it means that okay, there's an error that needed to be solved, and you have solved it. They can check through it, and if it's okay, they will accept it. And I can tell you, most companies that are open source, one of the way they get access or they employ their employees is that when their employees go into their code base, which is open source, and solve their problem. Do you get? So that's just it. So you can see we have close to contributors, we have close to 18 people contributing on what on Telegram. So most apps they are not open source, please. They are not open source because I mean imagine if my bank is an open source, it will be falling. Anyone can just go there and check some things and just crack out her dollars or nairas. So our banks and they are most times not open source. So React Native is open source. Anybody can go there to contribute, right? And it's created by what in JavaScript by what by Facebook. So 2015 Facebook created JavaScript. They created the process. Please, Facebook is not the one that created JavaScript. Facebook creates the React Native. So the second explanation says it enables you to build mobile apps for both Android and iOS operating system. I've explained that already. So the third one says they can work on any devices and still use one code base only. So they are making use of a cross-platform language like React Native. You can make use of both the Android device and the iOS device and some other operating systems. So React Native is a perfect technology to save developmental cost, yet still have truly native performance and user experience. I know when I was explaining earlier, I said when you are setting up a fashion store and you're making use of native programming language or in a native approach, you have to organize two teams, the first operating system team and the second operating system team. So making two teams, you are paying for their services, their maintenance. Let's say the app is live and you need some updates, you are going to be paying for both thing. So but when it comes to React Native, right, you're only just making use of one thing and everything is fine. So it saves on developmental cost and also developmental, if you are developing the app, you don't have to worry that okay, waiting for the second team, you really have just one team to monitor. So popular app built with React Native, Facebook itself was built with React Native, Instagram itself, Uber Eats, Pinterest, and Skype, and so many other apps that are built with React Native. Please, there are some apps here that probably they are built with React Native later the transition, but then they were built first with React Native. So pros and cons of React Native, some advantage and disadvantages of React Native you need to know. So pros: app developmental speed and cost. Pros: app developmental speed and cost. So we are making use of React Native, the speed is fast. You need to organize two teams, you only need one team in development of your app. Be it fintech, e-commerce, be it any app, it else you only need one team. So the user experience, it's very, very, very okay when it comes to user experience on React Native. Smoother and faster UI. With React Native, you can easily design different UI, use different user interface. So maintenance cost, I know you understand that already. You need to pay two things, but you need to pay one thing. Easier to debug. By the time you start writing React Native code, you have see how easier it is to write and easier to debug. Code usability and a large community of developers. We have so many pools, community of developers for React Native, making it very easy. Let's say you fall under or into a problem, it's so very much easy for you to get someone to help you solve it. And there's a way that okay, let's say you are facing something and probably you search online, you will discover that someone actually also has faced that thing as well. So it has large community of developers that are ready to opt and it give them this morale that we just need to just keep building on this thing more and more. So some cons, which is some little disadvantage of React Native, is performance is still lower than native apps. So the performance of React Native, it's still lower. It's not low. Please don't get me to don't get me wrong. It's not low, but in real sense, it's still lower than a native application. It's not low. Like if you check your Instagram, it's not low. If you check your let's say your fintech, some of your fintech apps are developed using it. It's not low. So two, not efficient design wise, I'll be explaining this later. And three, updating issue. This updating issue, the new versions of React Native are getting the updating issue they have. It most time it's getting soft, so you don't need to worry about that.